The Coffin Corner podcast is live once again with you as always, Les Norman, breaking the norm. Former Kansas City Royals outfielder David Lesky from Inside the Crown. My name is Soren Petro from Sports Radio 810 WHB. We're talking Royals baseball here this morning. Remember, if you catch us on the podcast, we are live Thursday mornings at 8:30 a.m. bright and early. Get up and going. Take us to work with you if you like. I mean, not really. Don't try to watch us while you're driving, but you know what I mean. Why can't the Royals run the bases? We'll talk about that. What should the Royals' regular lineup look like? Where is Salvy in his career right now? Is this the real Kyle Isbel? Does Maikel Garcia have even more ceiling to his bat? Where should the Royals play Jonathan India? Could the Royals trade a starter? They had a bullpen day. How did that go? What do we think of putting that together, and how might they fill that spot in the rotation again? The Twins series is up next. How important is that? We're talking about it here right now on the Kaufman Corner podcast.
You're listening to the Kaufman Corner podcast, the most in-depth analysis of the Kansas City Royals, breaking down the Royals like no one else can. Kaufman Corner is hosted by David Lesky, Les Norman, and Soren Petro. David Lesky is an accomplished author and the publisher of the Inside the Crown Royals baseball newsletter. Les Norman is a former Royals outfielder. He's the host of Breaking the Norm with Les Norman on Sports Radio 810 WHB, as well as the author of Teaching the Tools of Hitting. Soren is the award-winning afternoon drive host of the program on Sports Radio 810 WHB in Kansas City. Kaufman Corner is proudly brought to you by David Starnes Allstate Insurance, covering all the important things in your world. Home, business, life, and even the fun stuff as well. Motorcycle, boat, ATV, you name it, get with Dave and he'll have you covered. Give Dave and his crew a call at 816-781-7331. Visit them online or stop into any of their locations, including North Kansas City, Liberty, and Branson, Missouri. Don't put those insurance needs off any longer. Get with Dave today. He'll give you peace of mind for the things in your life most important to you. Now, here are your hosts, David Lesky, Les Norman, and Soren Petro.
Thank you very much, Curtis. We do appreciate it. We are off and running here on the Kaufman Corner program and podcast, I guess I should say. Merging jobs there. Yeah, how about it? Let's talk a little bit about how this went down with the Royals running the bases. Les, I think we'll start with you. The little things in baseball matter. There's the caught stealings. I am still baffled by how Bobby Witt Jr. is a brilliant player, and if he never gets any better, in fact, if he gets worse on the bases, I am still thrilled to have Bobby Witt Jr. for the Royals. And so we are picking nits. I want to be clear what I'm about to say about Bobby Witt is picking nits. But, he's a guy that seemed to be the conversation around spring training was working on the base stealing. He's the fastest guy in baseball, and he's less than average on his success rate. He's 2% below the league average on stealing bases, and he's the fastest guy in baseball. I think even more concerning, they want to steal. They want to be aggressive. Okay, maybe you got to live with they're going to do that. But they also toot-bland it on the base paths with some, real bad decisions to try to go for second, getting picked off with the throw coming in behind them. Why are they so bad, Les? What is the issue here?
It's a great question, and I'm going to disagree with you that I don't think you're picking nits. I think this is a big deal. I mean, I really do, because a big league.
Oh, with Bob, I want to say Bobby's stolen base success rate only is the only part that I'm saying picking nits. I agree with you. The overall base running is clearly an epidemic.
Yes, but what I'm trying to say is that even with just Bobby Witt Jr., I still don't think you're picking nits with that, because if you're the fastest guy in baseball, you should be better than that 2% below the league average, or even anywhere near the league average. And here's the example. The other day, Maikel Garcia is on first base and Kevin Biggio's up. It's a 3-2 count. And okay, you're going to steal. We know you're going to steal. You're one of the fast guys. That's great. But are you really going to not get a good jump? Because it's not a hit and run. It's just a 3-2 count. On a hit and run, it's understandable that the manager is going to have faith in the hitter to make some kind of contact or take the walk. This was not a hit and run. It was just a 3-2 count. And Maikel Garcia got a horrible jump. It was like he was running on a treadmill, and then the pitcher releases the ball and he gets thrown out. Now, I think that play went to replay, but he was out, and it was too close of a play on that because they were obviously going to throw. And my point is, you're going to trust a 177 hitter during that at bat and trust that he's going to make contact, and the inevitable happens. He strikes out. Garcia gets thrown out on a play that shouldn't even have been close. And you see the same thing sometimes with Bobby Witt Jr., where he gets bad jumps sometimes. Sometimes he gets great jumps. Sometimes he gets bad jumps. This is the big leagues, and there's pretty good catchers in this league. And so I don't understand. They may work on this, and there's early work that you can do. I just want to know, where's Rusty Kuntz? Is he involved in this? Is he coming to help them out? So with the team speed that the Royals have, it is a blatant pockmark on this team about how bad the base running is. I mean, we can talk about Kyle Isbel. I'll let David jump in here, but I am openly frustrated. I'm having fights with my TV screen, watching the Royals do this over and over again. And I'm really frustrated because a team like this should be able to get one or two more runs, or at least have one or two, three more opportunities to score more runs, but they look like they don't know what they're doing, and they're panic running and just not getting good jumps. And so this is something you need to work on in early work and even coming in on off days.
Yeah. David, what do you see on why this? I mean, it's I asked, I said this, it's been a couple of weeks since I asked Matt Cotero, is this just a product of the offense is struggling and guys are trying to do too much? And he bristled at it and said, we want to be aggressive. He immediately went to the aggressive card. I asked JJ Piccolo that a couple of days ago on my radio show, and JJ said, yeah, I think that's part of it. Absolutely. I mean, I think that's the simple answer, is guys are pressing. There's also just like that, I liken a little bit of a lot of things in sports to like when you're a kid and you go to the pond and there's the stepping stones on the pond. A 3-4-year-old might fall in the pond. You're 33 years old. You don't fall in the pond unless you're a dumbass. If you got, well, my cousin did. Okay, well, he's not. I don't know what he's doing, because we learn how far we can jump. We're not testing our limits, right? I never fall in the pond. Ooh, that step's a little far. I'm not going out there because I'm not falling in the pond. You know what your limits are, and you don't push beyond that. To me, base running seems like the basic. I don't want to fall in a stagnant water pond and smell like, ass the rest of the day. So I'm not going to do this, which is kind of what I feel like happens when you get gunned down, when the second baseman's holding the glove, just waiting for you to slide on in and get tagged out. That's how you should feel. I've got pond scum all over me, and I can't get back to the house for 3 hours. This is awful. That should be the feeling you get with some of the things that they do on the bases, David.
Points to make. One.
Yeah, go ahead.
One, the Royals base running, I said this tongue-in-cheek the other day on social media. They really need to fire 2025 Damon Hollins and hire 2023 and 2024 Damon Hollins because he's the base running coach, and they were a really good base running team last year and the year before. They still made outs on the bases because they are going to be aggressive, and that's just something that we have to live with. Now, I got the numbers up right now. The top teams with outs on the bases, the Rays are under 500. The Royals are 5 games over now. The Pirates are bad. Then it's the Phillies, good. Padres, good. Reds, okay. Diamondbacks, okay. Twins have been great for the last, 3 weeks, whatever it is. And then it falls into Orioles and White Sox. So I find it a little interesting, and I have no idea what it means, that there are really good teams on that list at the top. I think that good teams are aggressive and they make outs. Okay.
You mentioned the Rays, and I think a couple of, I don't know, I don't think I have the last games figured in. Curtis, who works with me, Curtis Siebel, pulled the numbers, and I think the Royals were 40 of 58. The Rays, you're talking about caught stealings, right?
No, there's outs on the base. This is not including caught stealings.
Well, part of that's caught stealings. Is that without the caught stealings?
That doesn't include caught stealings. So this is just being overly aggressive on the bases. I have a thought on the caught stealing too, but I find it interesting.
Yeah, the Rays are the team that steals more bases than anybody in baseball. So in the through the idea of we want to be aggressive, the Rays clearly are saying we got to be aggressive, right? And so that's
and if we get thrown out, we get thrown out.
Yeah.
And they're 67 for 80 stealing bases. The Royals are 41 for 59. So very different. And so my thought on the stolen bases, and I have no idea how to track this or figure this out, but it seems like one of two things is happening. Either the Royals are picking the absolute worst pitches to run on, or they might be doing something to signal that they're about to run. And I mean, sometimes it's obvious. Like it sometimes, like the 3-2 count, you knew Garcia was running. He just got to get a better jump. But I'm wondering a little bit, are they tipping? are they tipping that they're running on stolen base attempts? Because you're seeing, I watch other games. I don't watch as many, obviously, as the Royals, but I'm watching other games. Catchers aren't making throws like they're making against the Royals. There are some pinpoint throws that these guys are making, and I'm wondering a little bit: is it just a product that they picked the wrong pitches, which I honestly don't know how you fix that, or are they doing something that's making the opponents go, "Oh, they're running. Let's throw a fastball outside." And I haven't looked. Truly, I really don't even know where to start with this. It's just kind of the thoughts that run through my head. But I'm wondering a little bit on that front, because it does seem like they go on bad pitches to run them.
Yeah.
And in good running counts too, which leads me to wonder, okay, are teams just assuming the Royals are running, or are they doing something to make them say, all right, we're going to change this pitch? So that's a thought that's running in my head. But I think the simple answer is what we've talked about. They know they are not scoring runs. And when you know you're not scoring runs, being on second base is better than being on first. Being on third is better than being on second. It's as simple as that. And, I think that that's a big part of it. But it's got to get fixed because they're giving away outs every single day. Right now, so Fangraphs has a base running stat that just says base running runs, basically. Royals are 25th in baseball. It's not good. I mean, I don't know why I had to tell you. We all know it's not good. But like last year, they were 8.8 runs above average, which was 7th in baseball. In 2023, they were, I think it was 8.7 runs above average, and they were, 7th in baseball. So what's changed? I mean, there are some different players, but it's the same coach. It's a lot of the same players. Some guys have slowed down a little bit, but and that happens. But they shouldn't be this bad, and which leads me to think they're either doing something to trigger opponents to know what they're doing, or they're pressing on the bases, which I think both are plausible and possible.
Yeah. Maikel Garcia has backed up the bus on his success rate on the stolen bases less. That to me is puzzling. It seems like you either know how to read the pitchers, you either digest the scouting report on the pitcher and the catcher, and you know how to apply it, or you don't. Like, that's why I thought it was interesting. And I've credited Andy Rogers a number of times with the piece she wrote back in spring training, where she went back and forth with Bobby Witt Jr. And it seemed like he had put a real focus into, I've seen I remember Magic Johnson, when he played every offseason, he would have one thing that he would go work on. And one year he added like a hook. One year he added his left hand hook. One year he got better at the 3-pointer. Like, he would just, find something in his game that he thought needed to be improved, and he would spend the whole offseason. I'm like, wow, maybe that's what Bobby's doing. He looked at it and said, I'm too fast to be getting caught this much, right? Mm-hmm. And she detailed all these different things and had quotes from him. So they were clearly talking the fundamentals of base running. And Maikel Garcia was kind of like, look at Maikel. His foot speed is this much lower, but he's this much more successful on the bases. And he gets a bigger lead. He gets a better jump. He gets all these. It's like, oh, wow, Bobby Witt Jr. is going to apply all this. Bobby hadn't gotten better. And again, I'll say, okay, fine. Right. But Maikel's gotten worse. That's not fine. Now he is hitting better. And I will take the bat over the base running if you just tone down how often you go. But how does a guy get worse? He's not 29. It's not like, well, he's starting to get old. Father Time's catching him. What is going on with that? How does that happen?
Yeah, the instant answer is that it shouldn't happen. Again, I think I said this before. I grew up watching the Cubs, Chicago, about an hour south of Chicago, and I loved Ryne Sandberg. Now, Ryne Sandberg was not the fastest guy in the world, but he stole a lot of bases for the Cubs because he got good jumps and his footwork was impeccable. He went on the right pitches. And here's the thing. He didn't go every time he got to first base. Sometimes he actually did not steal. And, we talk about how Matt Contreras says that we're going to be aggressive. We're going to steal bases. Okay, fine. That's great. I love that. It works for the Rays, works for other teams. That's great. But that still does not mean that you have to go every single time. It's like every team we play, the whole world knows, hey, if a guy gets to first base and it's one of the guys that can run, they're absolutely going. And it's like they get to first base almost like, well, it's mandatory now that you have to steal. It's not just, hey, you have the green light. And when a manager says what it used to mean is when you have the green light, you can go, but go on the right count, get a good jump. And if you don't get a good jump, don't go, because it doesn't automatically mean that you're going to steal it if you go. you can disrupt a pitcher's motion, a pitcher's rhythm by simply the thought of going. But when you trust your catcher and we know you're going to go, all you got to do is vary your hold counts for 1 or 2 pitches and then just trust your catcher. How many times have other teams thrown a pitch out to throw a Royals runner out? Can you guys even remember that?
Yeah, no.
But because they don't have to. It's just they don't have to.
Yeah.
Because the Royals right now, their leadoffs are bad. There's a difference on the mechanical side. When I'm leading off, I need to open my right foot just a little bit and get that push off. I need to stay low and go this way. Well, what happens is like that example where I told you Biggio was up and Garcia ran. All he did was just turn his body. Well, when you turn your body, you're making a move, but you're not gaining any ground. And oftentimes that's what we see when guys that should steal bases get thrown out. So it's really frustrating to me. I don't know if they're working on it or not. I know they sit in meetings, and they have to sit in meetings. We did it back then. I'm sure they do it now, where you're looking at the pitchers we're going to face. This is their move. Watch for this, watch for that. And that's advanced scouting. And it's a big league team. I know they're doing that without even asking them the question. And so they need to spend a lot more time working on this because it's a glaring hole. And right now, the battery of other teams just own the Royals running game. Own them.
Let me give you a quick Garcia number. This is interesting. His average lead gained on stolen base attempts last year was 13.1 feet. This year, it's 10.2 feet.
Yeah, that's a
He's
big
gotten
deal.
a huge difference. He's gotten above 13.1 feet on a lead on 2 stolen base attempts this year.
So, I mean, is that just a matter of they've woken up, like everybody gets an off season and everybody self-scouts, and so they've looked at it and they scout their opponents. They go, we're getting killed by this guy. Why is this guy getting 13 feet off the bases? We've got to keep him closer. Or is he listen, the other thing we don't know, guys, is Les, you know this much more obviously than David and I, having played the game at the highest level, like is he hurt? Not hurt like I can't go play, but he's got a sore heel or he's got a sore, whatever. He's got a turf toe, whatever it might be, that I can still quick twitch, react, and play third base, play second base. Because, the other thing is he hasn't played the outfield. Have we noticed that? Like they started with this big plan to play the outfield, and he hasn't played in the outfield here of late. So is that a combination? Because I know he told Sam McDowell, the Kansas City Star, that, when Sam said, well, why aren't you successful? He said, well, part of it is I'm playing the outfield. Like he was like tired going out there, but now he's not playing the outfield. He's still caught. So it makes you wonder, is there something going on with the foot? Is there something going on with the hamstring? Whatever it might be. The guys play with all those little nagging injuries, Les, and that we don't know about that may be affecting them. And maybe that's the answer for Maikel Garcia. It doesn't account for, Vinny Pasquantino thinking he's going to make it to second.
Yeah, I wish I could have used that excuse as an outfield every day. Well, you know what, Coach? I'll go ahead and hit today, but I'm a little tired from playing the outfield every day, so maybe I'm going to shut the running game down. He's, 25? I think it could be that he has an injury. But if you've got a turf toe or a hamstring issue or a sore ankle or something like that, then stop stealing until you get healthy. Because if your bat is that good, he's legging out doubles, no problem. And I know it's not the same thing because you're going from a standstill versus getting wide and cutting first base and taking the extra base. And that's great. And it's a little bit different. But if you are hurt like that, don't run into outs. Don't go all the time or wait until it's a 3-1 count, or if the guy's going to throw a split in certain counts. And sometimes, yes, you have to guess. And just because a guy gets thrown out doesn't always mean it was a bad jump. Sometimes it's a 98% chance they're going to throw this pitch and they throw something else. Okay, no problem. It's a weird game. But again, bottom line, it looks like they're not working on it consistently because it's a glaring hole. And if you're not healthy, shut the thing down. So I don't think they're hurt. Again, like you said, we don't know. I don't think that's the case because it's not just Garcia, and we're kind of seeing this whole base running theme for the Royals. It's just not working as a whole, not just on one or two guys.
Yeah. Agreed.
Yeah. I mean, look, it's got to get better. It is the simple. That's all there is to it. It doesn't. This team is not good enough offensively to run the bases like they have.
Well, I think it begs the question. We'll wrap up the base running with this. It begs the question: if you're not effective hitting the ball, are you better being more aggressive and risking more outs to try to gain one base. So let's be honest. You don't be aggressive and go first to home, right? You're going first to second or second to third or third to home, right? You're risking the advancement of one base. And if it's third to home, it is the conclusion, getting a run. But are you better off when you're not hitting, risking more outs, giving away more outs to try to gain that base? Or are you better off saying, we have to shut this down. We're already not hitting. We cannot give away outs. They've, like the Royals been caught stealing coming into yesterday's game. They've been caught stealing 18 times. The Detroit Tigers, 4.
Wow.
4 times.
Yeah.
That's all that they've been caught, right? They were
the other thing though, keep in mind, we think about the Royals as a fast team, right? They're not. They have let me look it up.
They have
I gotta
some
get the right
fast
number.
guys, but they're not necessarily a fast.
I'll tell you, they do have some fairly quick guys, but I'm looking at sprint speeds, and sprint speeds aren't everything. So let's
that's great coaches. Maikel Garcia doesn't even grade that fast.
Maikel Garcia, 27.5 feet per second, which is not top 10%. Kyle Isbel is 27.9 feet per second. I mean, Salvador Perez, 24.3 feet per second, bottom 9 percentile. Vinny Pasquantino, 25.1%, or 25.1 feet per second, bottom 9th percentile. Fermin's 26.4. Massey is 26.5. Renfroe is slow. Garcia is not fast. Waters is not fast. They're not slow, but they're not fast. They have one fast guy. It's Bobby Witt Jr.
Yeah.
And so they're not that fast of a team, and they're running the bases as if they are.
Yeah. They got to
remember Kyle Isbel has 1 stolen base. 1.
Yeah.
And there's a difference between being a good outfielder and getting good jumps, but then not being good on the base pass, and we're seeing that.
The offense continues to be a problem. We'll talk about what the lineup is after you hear from our friends at David Starnes, Allstate Insurance. Gann Asphalt and Concrete, proudly serving the greater Kansas City area. Nationally recognized full-service paving and pavement maintenance contractor. Locally owned and making parking lot problems disappear in Kansas City since 1994. Let Gann educate you about the most cost-effective way to solve your parking lot problems. With free consultations, no commissions, in-house crews, and every project comes with a written warranty, Gann Asphalt keeps your parking lot safer and helps you and your business avoid unnecessary delays and costly expenses. Find Gann online at GannAsphalt.com or call 816-484-3338. Gann Asphalt and Concrete. One contractor, all things parking lot. Your favorites are back, Kansas City. Now for a limited time at all your KC Whataburger locations, get the Mushroom and Swiss Burger, 2 large beef patties, Swiss American cheese, fire-roasted mushrooms, and creamy au jus. How about the sweet and spicy bacon burger? 2 large beef patties, American and Monterey Jack cheese, bacon, grilled onions, and topped with sweet and spicy pepper sauce. Or grab the patty melt. Even the honey barbecue chicken strip sandwich. They're all perfect with the Whataburger Banana Pudding Shake. Remember, Whataburger's open 24 hours a day with breakfast served from 11 p to 11 a. And don't forget, you can get all your Whataburger favorites and more by downloading the Whataburger app with the QR code. Whataburger, proud sponsor of the Kaufman Corner podcast. Giant fan of the patty melt, by the way. Just FYI, my favorite one. Love it when it's back. Let's talk a little bit, guys, about what this regular lineup should look like. What tweaks, David? Like, is there anything right now, or is it just a matter of they can put any names wherever they want? Guys just got to hit better.
I mean, ultimately, lineup construction only matters so much, right? There's only X number of things that can be done. Look, Bobby Witt's going to hit second. He doesn't like leading off. He said that. I'd love to really hit lead off with his numbers, but if he doesn't want it, he doesn't want it. I'd be fine. I'm fine with him hitting second. Jonathan India has, since we noticed him moving back in the box, he has a 353 on base percentage. That's a long time. That's 100 plate appearances. It's not a huge sample, but it's not a tiny sample. I'm fine with him at the top. I mean, I may be a little too critical of India, to be honest. And so
how dare you?
Got your 1-2. I know I'm the worst. I'm awful. And Vinny Pasquantino, and it's a totally arbitrary number, but in May he's hitting 298 with a 464 slugging percentage. 1 through 3, I think you're fine. Vinny's got some issues still. I'm not fully convinced that he's figured out what's wrong, but he's done enough lately that it's okay. While he's still figuring out, he's actually productive again, so great. The problem then comes, Salvador Perez, he had a great day yesterday. 3 for 5, a home run, a double. Maybe he is coming out of it. It's very possible because over the weekend against the Cardinals, he had a good day on Sunday. He hit a rocket on Friday. Maybe it's like a slow burn, slow progression to get out of it. But the reality is he's got one of the lowest OPSs on the team. And since he came back from that hip issue, even with yesterday, 200, 219, 286. I respect Salvy. I respect what he's done. He's been, franchise stalwart forever. He may not be the guy to hit fourth right now, because I think part of why rallies are dying, yesterday notwithstanding, is because he's not extending them. And if you take the name away, and he probably should hit sixth or seventh for a couple weeks while he gets going. And maybe that time has passed. Maybe he's fine now, like I said. But, I just don't. I think that's been a bit of a problem. I like Maikel Garcia in the middle. I like him at the top too, but I like Indy at the top a little better. I think Garcia's got more of a chance to drive the ball. So I like him in the middle. I don't know. Maybe he goes 3 and Vinny goes 4 and Salvy goes 5. And that allows Garcia to not get clogged on the bases behind those guys and all that. But ultimately, I think that they bunt the best hitters pretty well. But I think right now, and again, I could be wrong and Salvy's out of it, but I think right now, Salvy's not one of the best forward. He's hitting fourth every day.
Yeah. And then Salvy was earlier less, the numbers weren't there, but the batted ball data said he's still hitting the ball really hard.
Mm-hmm.
And now he's not hitting the ball really hard. And so you've got these bad numbers from the beginning with the bad numbers he's earning. Right. And so, this is how slumps happen. Right.
Yeah.
You hit into bad luck and then you're not hitting well. Right. That helps to create the slump. Salvy's part of the issue. Getting consistent left-handed production is part of the issue. Is there a fix to this lineup beyond, hey, guys, hit better?
Well, first of all, I want to address Salvy. I know it was one game, and I am encouraged that it was an opposite field home run. And I can't – it's like an actor trying to watch a movie. I mean, you always know what's going on behind the scenes. I can't relax and watch a game. I'm always watching mechanics. And so as I was watching Salvy hit that, I watched the replay a few times. Now, it was a hanging pitch, but again, it's what you should do with it. And so I love the fact that he stayed inside the ball, that he was very relaxed. His head was still. He wasn't trying to pull off the ball, and he was just late. He actually went with a pitch that was fat on the outside part of the plate and did what he was supposed to do with it. Now, that doesn't mean that he's out of it, but I'm going to watch over the next couple of days to see if all of a sudden now he's trying to yank the ball. And if he does that, I'm not convinced that he's out of it yet. If he starts to stay relaxed and uses his hands more, when you weigh 280 pounds, you can use your hands and relax your body, and you're going to drive the ball over the ballpark. The problem is when he tries to get athletic and pull and yank the ball, that's where the issues come, and he starts chasing. So I'm going to bring up a word, guys, that I don't want you to go into convulsions or to have any tics or anything. But do you remember the word boonometer?
Yeah.
Yes. I was a big piece of that.
Was it boonometer or was it boonometer?
I thought it was boonometer.
It was boonometer. I'm trying to be grammatically and phonetically correct.
Yeah, that was a Jeff Flanagan shout out.
Yes.
To
Boonometer.
Royals writer, yeah.
But the problem was that you had pretty good hitters on that team. I mean, you had a Bip Roberts, who's a 300 hitter. You had guys like Gagne and Gaetti and Wally Joyner, and you had some guys that could hit. You had a legitimate leadoff hitter in Tom Goodwin on that team who isn't going to hit 300, but he's going to steal singles just by hitting the ball to the left side of the pitcher. So in that case, Boone just thought he was the smartest guy in the room, and on some things he was, but in that he definitely was not. With Cotrero, he's forced to do it. So with Garcia, I don't think he'd be the everyday. I love the fact that he can drive in runs, but again, here's a guy that's getting thrown out on the bases with nobody behind him to hit. And so if he gets on base hitting in the 5-6 hole, probably the 5 hole, if he's on base there and then nobody behind him can drive him in, then what's he going to do? He's going to be forced to steal bases. Well, he's not a good base runner right now, and he'll steal once in a while. And so then that's the out we're giving up on the base pass. So I'm confused here because I like the fact that he's hitting well and he's in the leadoff hole. And when he gets on, instead of stealing bases, he's got a guy in Bobby Witt Jr. He's in near the top of the league and hitting doubles and has a lot of extra base hits. And so it's that weird thing that Cotrero has where, okay, I got to put India there because, yes, he moved back in the box. He's doing better, still hitting 230, still not getting that production that we hoped out of him. But Garcia's the one there. So right now, I think that this lineup is just a victim of itself. And you've still got guys that if you hit Garcia sixth, okay, if Salvy's coming out of it and you hit Garcia's fifth, then your 6 through 9 is a crapshoot. Now, the one thing I will say, and I'll end the point on this, Drew Waters is flying under the radar. He's up to 281. He's giving you some quality at bats. He's not driving a ton of runs in, but he's still hitting 280. And he's stuck around between that 280 to 273 mark, where at least you're getting some kind of production there. So maybe hit him sixth and give us some kind of chance to drive in some runs or offer Garcia some on-base protection. But after that, okay, Isbel's up to 286, and that's great, but he's also a hole in the bases. And so right now it's still a patchwork thing. India can hit first or Garcia can hit first. I think between those two, it's just depending on what you need in the moment or in the series.
I think it's interesting here. Like Kyle Isbel and Maikel Garcia's numbers are up, right? And the offense is still struggling. Like you'd be like, hey, if we could get these guys going, then it's all there. And it does point back to Salvador Perez having a 600 OPS and being right in the heart of that lineup. Last year, that's the one thing they had. They had Bobby Witt, they had Vinny Pasquantino, they had Salvador Perez. Those guys were all hitting. So you knew when you got the lineup around to them, you were going to get production. If anybody could get on base in front of them, they got production and they were driving each other in. They're not getting that. So that speaks to how important that part of the lineup is. Is this the real Maikel Garcia, David? Is this the real Kyle Isbel? We've been asking that about Maikel because he got a quick start last year, but Isbel's numbers coming up. It makes you feel good that this isn't just a guy that's out there for his glove. His glove is what puts him out there, but he's giving you more than just survival at bats with what he's doing. Can they count on this while they wait on the heart of the lineup to get going?
I think they can count on. I feel much more confident today than I did yesterday, and much more confident yesterday than the day before about Garcia. Every day that passes, right? It's one of those things that until it happens, you don't know it can happen. But so we don't. I can't tell you if it's going to continue to happen. I can tell you that the batted ball metrics are solid. They're really good. They indicate that he's doing roughly what he should be doing. Expected numbers are a little wonky sometimes, but expected average of 291, expected slug of 460. That's good. I actually don't know what his exact numbers are. So I'm not. I think he's a little higher than both of those. I think his average is over 315 and 483. Yeah, so he's a little over his skis, but not to a point that you think, okay, let's, he's about to fall off a cliff. I feel good about him. Isbel is interesting because he doesn't hit the ball hard. Ever. Very rarely. His average exit velocity is 5th percentile in baseball, which is not what you want exactly. But he seems to have figured out a bit of an identity and I'm wondering a little bit if he said, I can lay down a bunt for a hit once a week and I can get myself 25 extra hits a year and I can get on base. And more often than not, if there's a runner on, I'm going to get a sacrifice too if it doesn't work. So it's not going to hurt me, my numbers, but it's going to help the team. And last year, if you added 15 hits to his numbers, he went from 2 whatever to 268. And it's mostly empty average. Although this year he has slugged the ball a little bit. He's got a 160 something ISO, which he's getting doubles, triples, occasional home runs. It's been nice at the bottom of the lineup. I don't buy the power. I don't buy the extra bases, but I don't buy 290 or whatever his average is, but I buy that he can hit 260, 265 because I think he's figured out that he can get a base hit with a bunt at least once a week and get on base and do something. And the reality too, he has struggled on the bases, but that's not his career norm. He's not a base stealer, but he's not been a bad base runner in his career. Even this year, he actually rates above average, which will shock people. And I don't into it. So
I'm shocked.
Yeah.
Don't tell. I'm not agreeing with it. I'm not arguing with it. I'm just telling you what the number is. It's 0.3. So it's barely above it. But that he's not been a bad base runner. If he can get on first base, you feel over the long haul that the base running will even out and he'll get back to what he was. Okay, that's not a bad player. No, he doesn't walk. I don't buy the power. But I buy that he can be a competent bat in the 9 hole. I wouldn't hit him higher than 8th ever.
No,
right.
But look, you need 9 guys. If your 9 hitters doing what he's doing, I feel good about that. They got to fix 6 through 8.
Yeah, let's talk about Jonathan India here real quick, and before we close on the lineup, and the bringing him to second base, sending Massey out to the outfield. Like, to me, my big thing coming into this year was, you're going to send Jonathan India out to the outfield, okay, but he better hit, right? Like, he was not brought here to play left field, to turn into Alex Gordon. And I heard Alex Gordon's name a lot when Jonathan India went out there, and I'm like, let's slow down a little bit on that just anybody you send out there. I saw Billy Butler get sent out to the outfield. It wasn't pretty, right? Like, usually, if you can't play the dirt, you go to the outfield. Well, you still got to be able to judge a fly ball. All right. It's not easy. Some people can do it. Some people can't. And so, it's the same thing like Jack Caglione. Like, I don't like him messing around with where he's playing, right? Because he was brought here to hit the ball over the wall. And if anything brings down his ability to hit the ball over the wall, you've made a mistake. If anything brings down Jonathan India's ability to get on base, you've made a mistake. And David, you pointed out, he is getting on base more. The adjustments he's made is working better. But, now they're talking about, wearing him out. He's getting worn out in the outfield. Like, why? That's the outfield involves running, and it always has since the 1800s. It's always involved running. I don't understand. To me, you looked at the two guys and you went, this guy's this age, this guy's that age, this guy has this foot speed. How did we? And I know what it was, I think, Les. They wanted the best defensive lineup.
Yeah.
And they thought, we can hide the poor defense of Jonathan India in left field better than we can hide it at second base. And now they're turning away from that. Is this the right move? Should they have done this from the get-go, Les?
Yeah. I'll say this, that if you're an everyday infielder and then you go to outfield, there is some credence to the fact that you can get worn out because it is different. It's a lot more quick twitch muscle, like you're stealing a base when you're playing infield all the time. You don't have to run as far. You're getting a lot more steps in. So if you're built for outfield, you're going to get used to it. You've trained your body. So there is a difference there. This is a huge conundrum for me because Jonathan India is not a good outfielder. Okay. He's just not. I don't think
makes up for it by not being a good second baseman.
Exactly. Yeah. So, and I've heard this before, or heard this so many times. Well, we have to hide him. If you're in a big league field between the white lines, you can't hide. The ball is going to find you. And we've seen that. And again, for me, this is evident that this Royals team that has to put a good second baseman in Maikel Massey in the outfield, because Jonathan India, who's not a good second baseman, is such a bad outfielder that's the role you have to make. It's a glaring hole in what we didn't do in the offseason. And so, look, if that's what you have to do right now, that's fine. But the thing that really sticks in my craw the other day is that game against the Cardinals, where I think it was 10-3 was the final score. Runners on first and second with nobody out. There was a ground ball, or there was one out. There was a ground ball to India right to him, and he botches it, and now it's bases loaded, one out, and then that's when the floodgates open up. Next guy gets a bases clearing triple.
It was 3-2 at that point.
Yeah, it was 3-2. The game was right there. And so, granted, they may have scored later on, but that was the play that opened the floodgates to the whole thing. And so my point is, it's really frustrating that we got India. Apparently, did we get India to play left field? I don't think so. We got him to play second base. Whether he's good or bad, that's what we got him to do, was most likely play second and maybe a little bit of third. And now we're finding out that maybe that wasn't such a good idea to get him, because he's just not a good fielder either way. But Soren, again, if not him, then who? This is your option. This is who you have to play. The glaring hole is we're having to take our good second baseman, who's only hitting 207, by the way, and put him in the outfield, because India is such a bad outfielder that we have to put him at second base. And now the hole's on the infield.
Yeah, I think you make a great point, and I think when you see what is going on in the outfield with Jonathan India, you go, okay, I understand why he was available. And by the way, yesterday while I was eating lunch, I was watching the Reds and Pirates, and with 4 2/3 under his belt, Brady Singer went by 100 pitches and was having some loud outs caught at the wall. So I was like, and Reds fans are seeing why Brady Singer was available, right? Like, that is, the nature of how that deal came about. And now the question is, can they make this fit? Can they make it all fit together? Dave, you want to take the last point on this? And then we'll
yeah. Well, look, I think there are two conversations that were had, right? There was one in February, January, whatever, or November when the trade was made. And it was, all right, Maikel Garcia struggled last year. He's not an everyday player. Michael Massey had a solid year. He's a solid defender at second base, maybe even good. I don't think he's great, but he's a good defender at second base. So Jonathan India is the third baseman. That's what he was all through the minors. He's going to play third. Garcia is going to move around. Massey's going to play second. We're going to get India some time in left in case Garcia does stick. Boom. Good to go. Well, so what happened is Massey stunk with the bat. India stunk defensively. Garcia broke out and is better at third. I mean, he's the best third baseman on the roster. And so then it became this whole, okay, well, Massey probably shouldn't be playing every day anymore because he's not hitting well enough. India stinks in left field. Let's throw him back at second base where he played like 4.5 innings in spring training. and it's created this huge mess, which you understand the thought process. I do. I get it. I totally get it.
Nothing they've done is like a fireable offense.
Right. Yeah. But at the same time, they got it wrong. And they got it wrong because the players didn't perform. Michael Massey specifically has not performed. He right there is the linchpin of this whole thing, because if he's hitting at second base, you go, all right, well, then India is going to DH and play some left field. Or we're going to do some rotating and India is going to play third base and left field. Garcia is going to play second base and third base. Massey's only going to play second base. We'll figure it out. But because Massey didn't hit, it's caused this whole ripple effect that's now put India back at second base, where he hasn't been able to play the last 3 days because he's hurt and because he got hurt playing second base. I mean, so it's just this huge mess that was created by a iffy plan at best to start, but an understandable one. And now here they are. And I think the answer is you stick India at second base where he's played for 4 years. You send Massey to AAA to get his swing right. He had 3 hits yesterday too. I'm talking about guys who had great days yesterday, but it's one day. And they got 2 open 40-man spots. You can give John Rave a shot. You can give Cam Devaney a shot, although that puts India back in left field because Devaney's an infielder. But there are options to try. And yeah, I think they're just in a tough spot right now that they put themselves in, but in a slightly understandable way.
Yeah. Speaking of being in a tough spot, if you've been injured in an accident, call our friends at Northland Injury Law. Northland Injury Law, Kansas City's Google 5-star rated personal injury lawyers, serving KC for more than 40 years, voted Kansas City's #1 accident lawyers, helping people with serious injuries from car accidents, work accidents, falls, and other personal injuries. Northland Injury Law doesn't get paid unless they get money for their client. Don't wait. Get compensated now. If you have a case, text HURT to 22222. That's HURT to 22222. Or call 816-400-HURT. That's 816-400-4878. The choice of a lawyer is an important one and should not be based solely upon advertisements. Gann Asphalt and Concrete, proudly serving the greater Kansas City area. Nationally recognized full-service paving and pavement maintenance contractor. Locally owned and making parking lot problems disappear in Kansas City since 1994. Let Gann educate you about the most cost-effective way to solve your parking lot problems. Free consultations, no commissions, in-house crews. Every project comes with a written warning. Gann Asphalt keeps your parking lot safer and helps you and your business avoid unnecessary delays and costly expenses. Find Gann online at GannAsphalt.com or call 816-484-3338. Gann Asphalt and Concrete. One contractor, all things parking lot. I know this next question is going to sound kind of preposterous when you have 2 starters on the IL, but could the Royals actually be in line to trade a starter? When you see what Noah Cameron has done, if they can get Cole Reagans back and Seth Lugo back healthy, David, do you move one of the starters? You and I talked about this on Monday on the program, on the radio show. Like, is that something that if this team is going, you could actually look at them moving one of their 6 starting pitchers if Noah Cameron keeps going the way he's going?
Yeah, it's interesting. And you add to that Kyle Wright, Alec Marsh. You can't expect anything from them at this point. But if you look up in July and they're both pitching well, okay, you've got 8 starters. You've got 8 big league starters right now. I do think that might be something that they have to explore. The market is thin and teams want to win. If teams aren't winning right now, they generally want to win next year. And so you can send some low-level prospects, but to get an impact bat, you need to send something that can probably help a team in 2026. And So I don't think Seth Lugo is the guy you trade because he's going to be a free agent. But
because you don't think the return will be because
I don't think the teams trading will value Seth Lugo in the way that he should be valued, because if he's going to opt out of his contract, why is a team giving up a top?
He's a rental, but couldn't you trade him for a rental outfielder? My rental for your rental?
Theoretically, I wonder a little bit how many teams have an extra outfielder that are contending.
Yeah,
that they can just dump is the only.
I want a 30-plus-year-old starting pitcher.
Right. That they're only going to have for 2 months, 2 or 3 months, whatever. So I think that you start to get into an issue of, well, I don't know where the deal is. And like Michael Wacha, yeah, he signed up for 2 more years after this one, but that's pretty bad business. I think you give a guy an extension and then move him.
He's got a no trade, doesn't he? I mean, like and by the way, Seth Lugo has a limited no trade as well. Mm-hmm. There are certain teams that he can X as well.
Yeah. So then you're looking, okay, you trade Cole Reagans? Probably not. Chris Bubich? Maybe. I'm going to have something tomorrow about Chris Bubich. It's interesting. I wouldn't trade him this season for sure. But I mean, he would be a guy that would bring back a ton, even from a non-contending team. Noah Cameron, Michael Lorenzen. And Michael Lorenzen doesn't get you back an impact player, by the way, but he could get you back something. But the point is that they have a big league team that they can deal from and stay solid. And so I don't know that you necessarily go into the trade market and say, hey, we got a starter for sale. Pick your starter, whoever you want. But I do think that if a team comes along with a guy who is under team control through 2027, and I don't know who that would be, so I'm just throwing a totally hypothetical out here, and they say, yeah, but we really want Noah Cameron for this guy. Okay. If he makes the team better, and I wouldn't do it for a guy who's a rental, or maybe even a year and a half. I'm not sure that I'd trade Cameron for a guy who isn't under control past 2026. But if that right guy comes up, yeah, I think the rotation allows you to do that. And it's a good problem to have.
Yeah. Les, is that the answer ultimately? Is that they've got to go get somebody, right? Jack Caglione is going to factor in this equation, assuming he hits well at AAA. That could be one of the answers. But let's be honest, where the offense is right now, Jack Caglione doesn't solve it all. Right. And that's the scary thing. And I appreciate the unbelievable honesty that JJ Picola always answers questions with. When I said, that Noah Cameron got dropped into the perfect spot, a team that's going well and all the pitching around him is going well. You don't have to save the day. You don't have to feel like you got to go 9 innings and throw a shutout. Like you can just give him 6 innings of pretty good, and you've done your job because the bullpen's firing and doing well. The other starters aren't leaving the bullpen worn out when you get in there. It's a great spot to drop Noah Cameron in. JJ acknowledged, yes, perfect spot for him. So, it's kind of the opposite with Jack Caglione, isn't it? Like you're going to be dropping a young guy in going, he said, yeah, it's not ideal, which is, I appreciate they need to get the offense going really before you put him in there and put all that pressure on him. Now, maybe he's a superstar and maybe you can drop him in and he will solve it all. That's the hope. We know, I think, Les, you more than anybody, how hard big league baseball is.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a big deal.
Yeah. Like the Albert Pujols that you just plop into the middle of the lineup and he goes from day one are the vast exception. Right.
Yeah. And the key word there is vast.
Yes. And so Caglione's going to help whenever they deem him ready. I do believe that just the threat of his power is going to help. And hopefully he takes off like an Albert Pujols. They still need more than just that. So a trade of one of the starting pitchers, something that they should be not only considering, but focusing on engineering, building the trades themselves. What pitcher do you like from my team? Okay, here are the guys, and be the ones that are making the calls, not just answering. So that used to drive me crazy where Dayton Moore's like, we're willing to listen. Yeah, but are you willing to construct? Are you willing to call? Are you willing to dial? Right? Are you willing to build the trade that gets you what you need? Is that where the Royals are with this team this year?
Yeah, I think the focus is in a starting pitcher. I mean, David said it best. You have 8 big leaguers that can bring you something. Now, each pitcher can bring you something variable. I know that you've got the no trade clause, the limited no trade clause. So they really have to get in that room and construct it. Sorry, a minute ago, I almost passed out when you said rent an outfielder. That's really worked for the Royals over the years, right? I mean, holy cow, that's been a train wreck for 25 years with the Royals and trying to find that rental outfielder. Can you guys think of anybody that's actually worked in that position?
I mean, I feel like Nori Aoki Nori Aoki worked for a year. They went to the World Series, and he was better, by the way. Go back and look at those on-base percentages. He was better than people realize.
Okay.
And then Armando Rios.
Yeah, there you go.
Year. But that was a full year.
Francoeur was good for a year. The mistake was the extension.
Yes, it was. And Francoeur, and to your point, Les, we're talking about less than a year. Like those are 1 year guys.
Right.
Those are spring training deal, off-season deals, where there was a big, planning session to it, not like, will you take this? What about this? Like the way so it is a great point. I mean, I think what we're all looking for is Scott Bankhead for Danny Tartable.
Yeah.
That's what we all want.
Yeah, I just have my reservations with the whole rental outfielder thing, unless it's somebody a little more proven. I'm going back to, and I don't mean to just be a negative guy, but I keep thinking of the Hunter Renfroe, the Juan Gonzalez, and then there's this guy. And I mean, you can go through this list of rental outfielders that the Royals have had that it's a corner outfielder who it just doesn't work out. We're paying money. We're paying millions of dollars for Hunter Renfroe to not be in the lineup. I mean, that's literally the truth of it. But I think that, again, like David said, we have 8 big league outfielders. The heart of me says, oh, don't trade Noah Cameron. I mean, look at how good he's been. Now, good, it's 2 starts. In this first game of the Twin Series coming up tomorrow, he could be horrible. Who knows? So it's not just the numbers I'm looking at with Noah Cameron. I'm looking for his command of his pitches, how nasty his stuff is, and how tough it is to pick up his pitch, how tough it is to swing, even if you know what's coming and make contact, because he's got such great stuff. And so I think he's got a great future. I think trade conversations, if you really want to build this team into something, again, the kids from St. Joe, wouldn't that be a great story that he becomes a top 5 starter in the American League and he's right from here? That would be fantastic. Regardless of that, you have to be focused on a starter and you have to be focused on trading them really, really soon. We were just talking about the whole Massey India situation. We're talking about Hunter Renfroe. There's still some glaring holes in here. This is the team in baseball that Kevin Biggio gets his last breath of a shot to play in the big leagues. And Michael Massey is still hitting 207. I know he says, well, I know I'm a good hitter. You know what? Many guys know they're a good hitter. And it's what you should say because you have to be confident. But the bottom line is your stats don't show it. And for me, who's a technical guy, your swing doesn't show it. And so it's got to be focused within one of those starters because that's where you're going to get an opportunity to rebuild a farm system, give you an impact bat right now. And the last thing I'll say, if you bring up Jack Caglione right now in this lineup and he doesn't offer protection, you're doing wrong by him and you're not protecting your own investment by taking him in the first round. And so that would be a huge mistake.
Yeah, that's a great point. What we don't want to see when you mention a local kid is a deal of moving Noah Cameron and getting back Tony Medrano, David Saenz, and Chris Steins. If people are not wondering, that's when
hey, I thought Chris Steins was going to hit, just for the record.
I was
also like 10, but
yeah,
still.
He had one good year. He had a year where he actually hit a little bit.
I liked his swing, but I was 10.
Thanks for making me feel old because when that deal came down, I was actually doing radio segments with Brian McRae, in the midst of the strike. I was already a working stiff when Lesky was, still sucking his thumb and evaluating this trade. I had to evaluate this trade.
To be fair, I still am. So that doesn't change anything.
Old habits die hard, guys.
Yeah, that's the trade for David Cohn, the pride of Rockhurst High School, Kansas City guy who had won a Cy Young for the Kansas City Royals, and that's what they got. You cannot do that, to Les's point about moving a local guy and moving Noah Cameron. I don't really think you can move Noah Cameron because unless you can go to Lugo and go, will you sign up? We want to lock you in. If you can extend Lugo, then you can move Noah Cameron. But your Lugo comes off the books. I think there may be, a little bit of I'm trying to think of a baseball equivalent of this, but the series of 1 year deals with Lorenzen. We value you more. Like you can go out there and look, and if someone will give you a 3 year deal, go ahead, but we're going to value you more than anybody else, and they can keep him coming around. But right now, both those guys are slated to be gone after this year. And so you really do kind of need Noah Cameron. Now, I think they're pretty good at finding pitching and taking whatever comes in their door and making it as good as it can possibly be. So I feel more confident if they do have to find some pitching in the offseason that they can do it. But I don't think you want to be looking – what they did 2 years ago is not the norm. Finding Waka and Lugo and then Lorenzen in year and, taking Cole Reagans to the next level and all that, like that was incredible. but it is not the plan, right?
Yeah.
It is, what you had to do at that time, right, David?
I'll do you one better. I don't think they can trade Cameron if they don't get Bubic signed long term.
Okay.
And I'm not sure that signing Bubic long term is the right
answer. Bubic is gone the next year.
Right. And I think that I think you can move Cameron without Lugo because you still have if you have Bubic long term, because you still have Reagans, Bubic, and Waka for at least 2 more years. And then I think you can fill out the back, whether it's Kyle Wright, and because I do have confidence that they can go out and get a number 4 starter and make him good enough, competent. So I think Bubic is actually the guy you can't. You have to keep long term to be able to move a young guy, and I told you I'm gonna have it for tomorrow. I haven't made my decision what I think on that. I'm thinking about it as I'm writing it. I mean, you're looking at 5-6 years, $100+ million for Chris Bubic right now, based on comps. And do you give that to a guy who had Tommy John? Maybe you do, because it's so recent that you feel like you can get 5 or 6 years before he breaks again. And he's a smart pitcher, all that, another story. But I think he's the guy you got to sign long term if you're going to move Noah Cameron.
Yeah, and it's like you said, there's some big dollars that are involved. Do we like the bullpen day? I mean, worked out pretty good, right? We like it from the results, Les. But I heard some of the comments of Daniel Lynch, and I thought it sounded like he felt like he was auditioning to get back into the rotation. I pitched 4 days, which was true. I was kind of surprised to see him a couple of nights ago. I'm like, well, then I guess Lynch isn't the plan. Well, they did it, but he was the plan. They just didn't want him to go any deeper necessarily than he had, in any of his other bullpen stints. And maybe that was also their way of saying this is not an audition. We just need your usual 1 to 2 innings here. But
yeah,
they're not going to can they turn that around? We know with off days it can kind of get by it, but we're all planning on everyone's going to be back as soon as they can be back. If they're not, and they got to do this again. You can't do it long term. We all know that. Could they do it one more time?
Maybe one more time. I mean, I think this is a disruption. It's interesting that Daniel Lynch said that, but then in 1.2 innings, he walked 3 guys. So if that was your audition, then audition fail, So, yeah, I think they could do it again. I like the fact that we have such a good bullpen that you're able to do something like this, and it still gives you a really good chance to be successful and win a game. I just wouldn't do it long term because it just disrupts a rhythm. And pitchers are funny like that, in a good way, that they know their bodies, they know their rhythm, they know what they like, they know what they don't like, they know what's comfortable, what's not comfortable. So I like the fact that, yes, it was possible. It when you have injuries to starters, it really does help. I mean, if your bullpen was a train wreck and you were forced to do this, man, we'd be having a whole different conversation about what we would need. So, and that's with the struggling offense. So the fact that they're good, they're able to do this, I'm good with it. Could they do it again? Yeah, probably. I just wouldn't do it consistently. I wouldn't rely on it consistently for sure. And I don't think that Daniel Lynch needs to be in the starting rotation. If it's an emergency, sure. But still right now, I think he can walk some guys. I think he's suited for that left-handed role. And I think in his entire career, he found his niche of where he's going to be good and he's going to make his money. I just hope that his mindset can move into that.
I think, I'm with you, Les. I think I want him focused on being the best reliever he can be and eliminating the idea that he's going to be starting wearing a Kansas City Royals uniform. David, any takeaway from it and what you saw? And where they go next time?
I think it's fine to do it again one more time because they have an off day 2 days later. And then we talked about this on Monday too. They don't need to do it again until June 7th based on off days. So they have a little time to get those guys back, not even right at the date. But it's not a long-term solution. You can't do it every 5th day, especially when you're in a stretch where you don't have off days. Right now they're in that stretch. They can make it work a little bit right now, but I don't think it's a long-term deal. The other thing about Lynch, he has 12 strikeouts and 10 walks in like 23 innings this year. I like Daniel Lynch. I think he's been really good in the bullpen. That's where he should stay. And one more thought real quick. I found this really interesting before yesterday. Take away Chris Stratton, no longer on the team. Sam Long, long-term injury, although he is rehabbing. The bullpen ERA before yesterday of everybody, taking those 2 out, 1.99. I did not realize how good, how bad those 2 have ballooned the bullpen ERA, but B, how good the rest of the bullpen. I mean, I knew they were good, but that really shocked me. So they can get by a couple times, but not if they need to do this 15 times, they're in trouble.
Yeah, no doubt. And now the Twins. How important is this series, Les? The Twins have been red hot. The Royals, stabilize things. Got a nice series win against the Giants. Keep some momentum going here. Put the Twins back in their place. I mean, I do think when you get that great win streak, usually you kind of have a double thud, and maybe there's a comeback here. Is this a good time to get the Twins, and how important is this series?
Well, it is early in the season, but I think it's important for a couple reasons. One, the Royals need to establish that they're going to be strong within their division. I think that it's good, at least just for the Twins and the Guardians, because right now the Tigers obviously are the cream of the crop. They're playing really well. Now, they're still reachable and catchable. However, they're just playing really well consistently. So the fact that you have Cameron, Waka, and Bubic lining up for this series, that's a pretty good lineup. It gives you a best chance, and they're not facing any world beaters right there with the Twins as far as opposing pitchers. Now, the good part about this is that Cleveland actually is playing the Tigers for a 4-game series as well. So it's not just taking advantage of the Twins and kind of showing them who's boss for second place. It builds their confidence within the division because the Twins have been hot. And so it's an important series in that sense. It's also important because it lines up with Cleveland playing against the Tigers. And if the Tigers handle business, the Royals could put distance between the Twins and the Guardians within just this series. Now, again, it's only a few games. This could change in 2 weeks. I mean, who knows? But a little bit, I think it's really important for their confidence and for how the later on, how it can set up within the division and how you play them.
By the way, we're going to go by Memorial Day, and we're going to go by the 54-game mark with this series. So you've enjoyed your last time saying it's early.
Yes, thank you.
40's in the rearview mirror.
Not June yet.
Yeah, 54 is going to be in the rearview mirror. Memorial Day is going to be in the rearview mirror. So this could be the end
late
of the day.
early.
Yeah, how important is this one?
Super important. And let me put it this way: would you have been excited? And do you think the Royals would have won a wild card series in Houston last year?
No.
And they didn't play in Houston because.
But is that because they weren't high enough in the standings, or is that because they caught an Oriole team that had already peaked and was on the way down?
Well, probably. But my point is, the reason they played Baltimore and not Houston is because they won the season series against the Tigers. And if they had lost that season series, they would have gone to Houston. I don't think they're losing to Houston, or they're beating Houston. I think Baltimore was the team that was beatable, and the Royals beat them and got to move on because they won a season series. They're 3-1 against the Twins this year.
Yeah.
They have 9 more games. If they win this series, if they win 2 of 3, the Twins then have to win all but one of the final games in order to win the season series against the Royals. This is huge. It's huge to get that leg up, because it could very well mean the difference between going one place you don't want to go and one place you do want to go in the playoffs. Yeah. And so, I mean, from that perspective alone, it's big. But look, you got to. It's a confidence thing. I mean, this team, they won 16 out of 18, and then they lost. They've lost 10 out of 14 since then. Yeah, they maybe they're back on track. Maybe this Giant series did it, and they're going. And I always say, good teams turn terrible stretches into bad stretches into okay, and all that. So maybe this is the time that they're getting out of it. But they need some confidence. 2 out of 3 is huge here for so many reasons. But maybe the biggest is that it puts them in the driver's seat for the season series.
Yeah, for sure. It's a big one in the division. I love Les, you pointing out that the other boys are running into each other as well. So if you can win here, you're going to gain ground on somebody, not just the Twins. You're going to gain ground on 2 teams, the Twins and whoever's not getting the better of that other series. So it's a big weekend all around for the American League Central. Always a big time to talk to David Starnes, Allstate Insurance. If you need help with any of your insurance needs, David Starnes and his crew are ready to help you out. Call 816-781-7331. Need help with your parking lot, Gann Asphalt and Concrete. Free consultations, no commissions. And in-house crews, plus every project comes with a written warranty. Gann Asphalt and Concrete, one contractor, all things parking lot. Find them online at GannAsphalt.com. And our friends at Northland Injury Law, Google's 5-star rated personal injury lawyers. If you've been hurt in an injury, text HURT to 22222 or call 816-400-HURT. Don't forget, for a limited time, you can get the mushroom and Swiss burger, the sweet and spicy bacon burger, the honey barbecue chicken sandwich, chicken strip sandwich, and my favorite at Whataburger, the patty melt. Remember, Whataburger's open 24 hours, and thank God somebody is there doing what they do, serving breakfast from 11 p.m. to 11 a.m. You can always satisfy your hunger at Whataburger. For Les Norman, for David Lesky, I'm Soren Petro saying thank you very much for joining us here on Kaufman Corner.